Should I have bought 1.5 inch? My answer is I don't think so. Not an expert in insulation, so if you are, leave me a comment in this video and let me know how wrong I am so I have time to redo it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we're working on a renovation on this 1956 Calcraft here. So last week we focused on placing the remaining wall studs and ceiling joists and getting that all ready to go, and finishing the curbing. That's what this curve part is called. But we finished installing that on the other side. So everything is basically how it's supposed to be at this point. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to focus on cutting some rigid foam insulation and installing that. And I know you may be thinking, that seems premature. Shouldn't you be doing your wiring and plumbing and all that other stuff? That's one way of doing it. I think it's going to be a little easier to just cut these shapes without having to worry about anything else in the cavity. And, it's just foam. It's easy to cut down once it's there. So I guess first of all, let's talk a little bit about insulation. Okay, so we'll be using this pink rigid foam as our insulation. This is 1 inch thick, and we have 1.5 inch thick wall cavities. So should I have bought 1.5 inch, or should I have bought another 1/2 inch, and we'll just fill that wall cavity up as much as possible? My answer is I don't think so. And I'm not an expert in insulation, so if you are, leave me a comment in this video and let me know how wrong I am so I have time to redo it. But let me explain what I'm thinking on this. So you've got your exterior sheeting outside of the camper. So inside that, we're going to have our 1 inch thick insulation, which means we have another 1/2 inch of space before we get to our interior wall. We're going to just cut a little 1/2 inch strip off of these, and we're going to make some blocks and attach them. And what that's going to do is it's going to keep this area as an air pocket, as a void. What's going to happen when the sun shines down on our camper is this skin will get warm. That will conduct directly into this panel, heating it up, although the purpose of that insulation is to slow that process down. This air pocket in here will prevent that from conducting directly to our interior wall where we are hanging out. So when you install rigid foam insulation in like a house, usually what they actually do is they put a reflective backer on the insulation, and they put an air pocket on this side of it so that the sun heats up the exterior of the house, and that reflective layer reflects that heat toward the roof and not allowing it inside. The thing is, when you only have 1.5 inches to work with, you don't really have enough space to do all those things. The other thing that these air pockets will hopefully allow is that any moisture in there will be able to dry out and not be trapped against the wooden interior panels. I see a lot of people use Reflectix, that little reflective bubble material. The thing I don't like about that, again, is putting anything that's not permeable right up against your wooden framing. There's always a potential for moisture, and of course if you have a window and it were to leak at some point, that moisture could be trapped up against the wooden framing. Controlling where moisture will go, I think, is as important in insulating these as controlling where heat will flow. Fortunately, this stuff's really easy to cut. Just going to use my T-square utility knife, core it, snap it. Hopefully that works. It's supposed to. So I've got this hot knife, and it actually cuts through this pretty well, pretty quickly, but you still do it in passes. Harbor Freight, I think they're like 20 bucks. done.
It's not right.
I think it is.
Wow, it's a beauty.
It is a beauty. Okay, so we're going to take these strips that we cut. We're going to use Titebond. And we're just going to glue a couple or a few to the backs of these, like so, to hold them up away from the surface. And of course, I'm not going to glue them or fix them permanently here because we still have stuff to do to the walls. Okay, so the other side is basically done. I still have a few of those little spacers to glue in place, but I'm going to go ahead and start working on this side while I have a chance, because the spacers are pretty quick to do. Measuring and cutting, that's the thing that takes the longest, so get to it. Okay, these last two panels on either side of the window are going to be a little bit more tricky because I put in this bracing here. It doesn't leave me quite enough depth to fit those panels back down in there. So I'm going to take my router and just route in 1/4-inch channel rather than cut 3 separate pieces to go in there. I think that'll be easier. Let's see. So I sort of hem and haw over this, whether this should have a vapor barrier on the outside. I know I've seen a lot of people that use the foam insulation and they come back and they tape over all their seams and make it airtight. But the thing is, this stuff does shrink and expand a little bit. Most tape, certainly if you just use masking tape, is not going to hold for very long on that. And as soon as it gives away, there goes your airtight seal, there goes your water seal. So, you know, a vapor barrier over it. You think it's a big continuous vapor barrier, that'd be great. I don't know. As soon as you put a window in, as soon as you run staples along here to tie your skin down or put screws all around the J-rail, you've put a bunch of perforations in that vapor barrier. You know, the one thing a vapor barrier does is, of course, prevent air from traveling through the impermeable parts. But I think my bigger concern, though, is if water ever gets inside the wall or I get condensation on the inside, you know, I want that to be able to evaporate and go away. I don't want it to be restricted inside there. So I don't know. I see the benefits of it. I see the downsides of it. Mostly I see extra time and I see extra dollar signs in it. So if you disagree, leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on it, because, you know, I don't 100% know if there's a right way or a wrong way. I think I'm going to have to cut a few more spacer strips, but I'm going to do what I can with what I have on the other side. I'm pretty happy with how that all went in, though. I think it looks nice. So far, so good. I've just clamped a few boards across there to keep those from blowing away while I move on to the next thing. Electrical's coming up, figuring out where all that's going to go, trailer lighting, plumbing, and at some point we're going to address what we're going to do inside. It's all a lot of stuff. It's all coming up quick. New videos come out every Sunday, so make sure and like and subscribe, and we'll see y'all next week.